Right now, we are just 4 hours away from closing arguments in a high-profile murder case we've been tracking for years.
The Dale Warner murder trial enters a critical phase this morning. Attorneys for both sides are set to lay out their closing arguments.
Prosecutors say Warner killed his wife Dee back in 2021, then hid her body inside a fertilizer tank on his property. That's where investigators found her more than 3 years later.
The defense argues there isn't enough evidence and asked the judge to throw the case out. Well, the judge denied that request, and court is set to be back in session this morning after just under 2 weeks of testimony.
Jurors are now preparing to hear the final words from both sides before ultimately deciding Dale Warner's fate. Laura Sandlin is live in studio this morning tracking what we can expect. Laura?
Yeah, Tim, Sophia, we've been following this case from the very beginning, from the moment Dee Warner was reported missing to Sophia and I reporting outside the courthouse the very first morning Dale was in court, to Melissa Andrews tracking every detail in the courtroom. Now, this morning, 15 days later, the prosecution will deliver closing statements, followed by the defense. The prosecution then has a chance for rebuttal. The judge will then give the jury instructions about the charges and all of the elements that need to be proven in order to find Dale Warner guilty. Dale is charged with open murder and tampering with evidence. With these charges, the jury must decide whether or not Dale planned to kill Dee ahead of time. They will also determine if Dale purposely removed, altered, concealed, or destroyed evidence. During deliberations, jurors must follow key legal principles. The defendant is presumed innocent unless the prosecution proves each element of the alleged charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt is defined as an honest and reasonable uncertainty based on the evidence or lack of evidence. This means proof falls entirely on the prosecution, and Dale is not required to prove his innocence. He waived his right to testify Tuesday. Before the defense rested its case, key testimony included Dale's ex-wife, Julie Bach, who discussed their marriage and described their divorce as civil. Other witnesses included family members, investigators, employees, and friends. The final witness was Greg Hardy, Dee's brother, who outlined their relationship. Hardy said he didn't see Dale putting in any effort as the search for Dee continued, and that he had concerns about Dale's behavior following Dee's disappearance.
I decided that perhaps we should take a search party with family and members of the community who are willing to and walk the properties just to make sure that something wasn't out there somewhere.
Did Dale participate in that?
He did not.
Prosecution has proven every required element of a charge beyond a reasonable doubt. They must return a guilty verdict on that charge. If they find the prosecution has failed to meet those standards, they must return a not guilty verdict. Tim?
So, Laura, the jury will decide whether or not to convict Dale of first or second-degree murder charges. Can you break down the difference?
Well, first-degree murder and second-degree murder both involve intentionally causing someone's death, but the key difference is premeditation. First-degree murder means prosecutors prove the killing was planned and deliberate. Even a short moment of planning can qualify, but the person must have had the time to think about the act before carrying it out. In Michigan, a conviction carries mandatory life in prison without parole. Second-degree murder does not require proof of planning. Instead, prosecutors must show the defendant intentionally killed someone, intended to cause serious harm, or acted with extreme disregard for human life. A conviction can still bring life in prison, but parole is possible. Now, jurors will have to make that decision once opening statements wrap and they officially get the case. Reporting live in studio, Laura Sandlin, WTOL 11.
And we've been tracking Dee Warner's story from the moment her family reported her missing. That was April 25th, 2021. Family members last saw Dee after she dropped off her daughter in Lenawee County. They say she planned to meet her husband, Dale Warner, but never came home. Volunteers and investigators searched for months. State and federal agencies joined the case, but found no signs of Dee. By March of 2022, her family offered a $50,000 reward for information about her body, saying they no longer believed she was alive. In November 2023, prosecutors charged Dale Warner with open murder, even though Dee's remains had not been found. On June 7th, 2024, a judge ruled Warner would stand trial on murder and tampering charges. Just 2 months later, investigators found Dee's body welded inside a fertilizer tank on Warner's property. Jury selection in the murder trial finally started February 12th of this year. WTOL 11 has been tracking this case since the very beginning. You can watch all of the previous testimony in the Dale Warner murder trial right now on WTOL 11 Plus and catch a special recap live tonight at 6:30 only on WTOL 11 Plus. Just download WTOL 11 Plus on your TV and watch for free.